Hi, this is BitBlitz. So, I normally don't make videos like this, but I recently rediscovered this tune from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and I love how quirky and absurd it is. So, here's a video analysis about it from a music theory perspective. The original Sonic series features some of the most iconic and well-recognized video game music of the 16-bit era. The song playing right now is from Green Hill Zone, and is a template for the quintessential Sonic tune. Many tracks from the original series borrow heavily from fusion jazz and city pop through their harmony, style, and tempo choices. I'll link some examples below in the description to Japanese bands like Casiopea and Dreams Come True that clearly influenced this style of video game music. Besides the up-tempo cuts like Green Hill Zone, there are also quite a few that take their inspiration from more groove-oriented genres like funk, hip-hop, and New Jack Swing, which was at its peak popularity around this time in the 90s. A prime example of this style of Sonic tune is Spring Yard Zone, which is playing right now. So stylistically, that brings us to the tune I made this video about, Mushroom Hill Zone. I could go into detail about the funk part, which mostly has to do with the rhythms used, the groove, drums, and the bass interaction. But what most drew me to this song was the polytonal part. As in, there are multiple moments in this song that are so dissonant, and it actually seems as though there are multiple keys happening at once, which is very odd for something you would consider funk, and I thought it'd be fun to make a video about this. In this brief harmonic analysis, we're going to be checking out three separate elements of the song, how they interact with each other, and why this forms something that I'm calling polytonal funk. As this jazz bot here is demonstrating, this bass line implies a C mixolydian mode, which is a pretty common place to start if you're in the funk idiom. Supporting this C mixolydian mode is a synth that's playing chords, or in this case, two-note voicings to imply chords or imply harmony. Okay, so these first two elements are indicating that we're in for some classic C7 funk. Let's see if that trend continues when the main melody comes in at the top of the A section. Just to review, while the bass line continues its pattern in C mixolydian throughout this whole section, the chord synth starts there briefly, but then it goes completely out of that scale by implying a G flat chord. At this point there's a B flat in the melody, so you're getting a full G flat major chord over the C stuff in the bass. As you heard in Jazzbot Slow Motion, this sounds very dissonant. Eventually, the melody line weaves around a series of chromatic notes that eventually resolve nicely to B flat major, along with the chord synth. But the D flat and E flat that appear in this line also clash pretty dramatically with the C mixo bass line. During this section, you effectively get melodies in multiple keys happening simultaneously, and it gives kind of a disorienting effect, which obviously I love. I love how ridiculous this sounds. And I mean, it fits the level well, which is filled with bouncing mushrooms and wrong way ramps that are there to intentionally disorient you. Even if the composers didn't have any of this theory stuff in mind, or knew how it translated to an academic concept of music, they composed something that I think emotionally supports the level very well. As excited as I am about this, that's probably enough of me talking about two measures of this song, so let's check out what I would consider the chorus. In this section, the bass now actually lines up with the chords and melody, and we finally get something resembling a chord progression. Just a straightforward flat 6 to flat 7 to 1 in B flat major. Except for this melody. It kind of starts out as C minor, but then here when I have the question marks, it totally sounds like the chord synth plays a quick walk up resolving into a B flat major, but the melody is clearly outlining a B flat minor triad. And that's basically it as far as the general roadmap of the harmonic progression of this song is concerned. Briefly, there are a few other quirky little chromatic moments that I really enjoyed too that aren't necessarily part of this overall structure, but I'd like to highlight them anyway real quick. And that concludes my full harmonic analysis of this tune. I highly recommend seeking out a complete version of it on YouTube to take a full listen through. A parting point. Some of you may be wondering why I have yet to mention the name of a composer. Well, the first 2 games in this series were composed by Masato Nakamura, but before Sonic 3's development, he would leave Sonic Team in order to fully focus on his band, Dreams Come True, whose popularity was skyrocketing in Japan at the time. Pinpointing the composers of specific songs in Sonic 3, however, is especially difficult for a few reasons. Among those reasons is that, oddly enough, Michael Jackson was actually involved in composing music for this game, and many speculate that this relationship had to be severed when allegations against him at the time brought him into the heat of a lawsuit. Jackson's secret involvement in developing this game is something that is confirmed by a handful of sound designers listed in the game's credits. However, Sega continues to deny the story to this day. It's possible that the secrecy around this part of developing the game is why it seems so difficult to search online for exactly which composer on Sonic Team composed which tune. Anyway, diving any further into that story would be beyond the scope of this particular video, but leave me a note in the comments if you would like me to cover it later on. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of content, please like and subscribe.